Ozonics Killerwinds podcast, back again.
Day number 9 at the show.
Oh my goodness.
We're tired.
This,
It's been a long week.
I don't know if you can tell, if you listened to last week's episode, let's just say hypothetically that somebody listened to last week's episode and then just back to back listen to this week's, they would notice one thing majorly different. We got some hoarse voices.
Yeah.
And there you go. And the Harrisburg flu, a little bit of a cough.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So, we are day number 9 at Harrisburg, the Great American Outdoor Show. We are grinding away.
Yep.
We're at the home stretch.
We are right there. We just got a couple more hours left, and we're packing up, and then back on the road. Road dogs tomorrow.
You know, I always feel like at the consumer shows, the last day it was always really anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Because you kind of do so much planning and you get so excited to come to the show. And then it's really fun getting to meet tons of people and have guys walk in and look at the Ozonics and we talk and hear some really cool stories. And then it's over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, hey, we're the only ones here.
Well, the crazy thing to me is you're getting ready for it, and you're like, oh my gosh, 9 days feels so long, but it literally feels like you just blink an eye and it's the last day.
Well, yesterday I made that comment. We were on the way in here and I said, well, day number 8. It just all of a sudden, boom, it just snaps right by.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, today we're going to talk about just a little bit of a recap of the show. And we'll just kind of jump all over the place. I think we'll talk a little bit about consumer shows in general. We'll just see where it goes. Okay, so we are talking consumer shows. So let's do a recap. What has been the exciting things? I know the thing that I look forward to every year, which this is so stupid that I look forward to this. I love watching the dock jumping dogs.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this show. There's a bunch of different things you can go and see. And
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things. I was excited and a little disappointed. One, excited about the dog jumping dogs. I think that's really fun. I actually made it a point to take my little lunchy breaky bathroom break during the vertical jumping competition, which is pretty cool. So they basically have like a buoy that they have on this like rack or a swinging deal. I don't know what you want to call it. And the dog can only go so many feet back. They have to come up and then they have to jump and grab the buoy. And they start at, I thought they said they start at 4 feet 6 inches, and the world record is like 9 feet or something.
Jeez.
And they had dogs here that were jumping over 7 feet, which if you can imagine that from the level of the dock or the platform, 7 feet, boom, catching this thing. It is fun to watch.
Yeah,
and
I didn't see that.
Every shape and size of dog you would, and then it was pretty, the cute ones are the ones that the dog wasn't ready to jump and they were trying to get it to learn how to do it. So like anybody can enter the competition, right? So they would like get the dog up there and then it would just slam on the brakes and like I'm not jumping. But the thing that I wanted to see that I didn't see was I never caught the lumberjack guys.
I know, I missed all that too.
Like they have these like jet powered chainsaws that can like cut through a log in like
2 seconds.
Yeah, like they go like down and up in like less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't catch any of that.
I didn't either. I went and caught some of the dog jumping, and it was, like you said, any dog can do it. And it was really funny because I was filming it, and a big old pit bull gets up there.
Oh, yeah. I saw a Dalmatian.
Well, so
I didn't know Dalmatians like water. I guess they love water. I guess but yeah.
So I go, like I said, there's a bunch of different dogs that can do it. Pit bull hops up there, big old pit bull. I'm like, well, this guy's just going to flop into the water. So I'm trying to film it. This thing literally jumps out of the frame.
Yeah, the first time you weren't ready for it.
I'm like, what the heck did I just see?
Oh, yeah.
But, so that was kind of funny. It just caught me by surprise. But yeah, like I said earlier, there's just so many things that you can see at the show, and that kind of makes it fun, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's always fun. And that's what we kind of talked about at the beginning about even just walking in at the beginning of the week, you're like, oh, hey, that's new. Oh, I haven't seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the nice thing about this show, too. We're far enough away from the Midwest, right? We're far enough away from Iowa that the vendors that are here, some of them are the same, but for the most part, it's like 70% completely different than it would be at Iowa with the Iowa Deer Classic. It's completely different than it would be at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So we kind of get a whole different crowd here.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just to rattle off down the list, the different states that I remember people saying that they came from: Maine, New York, New Jersey, obviously Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Connecticut, Delaware, Massachusetts, all over.
Yeah.
I mean, they just pull in such a huge crowd. They had signs out front that says the world's largest outdoor show.
Yeah, exactly.
There's I mean, probably is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the other things that I saw this week that I thought were pretty fun. In the outfitter room, Nintendo Duck Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was awesome.
Yep.
We there was a waterfowl outfitter. Everybody kind of has a different way of trying to pull people in the booth, and it's always a fine line because you want to get people in, but you don't want to heckle them.
Yeah.
You know, and so sometimes when it gets so busy, it's hard because people just kind of walk by like cattle,
Right.
and they just kind of shuffle along. They don't really want to stop.
Yeah.
And this husband wife, they had an old original Nintendo from the those things were from like the early 90s.
Yeah.
And here come find out Nintendo Duck Hunter, which Nick didn't know what that was.
I know exactly
you knew
what it was.
I thought you
gosh,
did never.
yeah.
I thought, but you'd never done it before.
I've never done it before.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought you didn't know what it was.
No, Uncle Zip and Uncle Adam always talk about how they would always play that in the basement in their Zubas, and it would always be a huge fight.
Yeah. So, here come find out, Nintendo Duck Hunt with the gun won't work on a flat screen TV. There's something about, I don't know what it is. You have to have a tube TV. So they had to go buy like an old TV at like a Goodwill to make it work, and they had it set on their booth. And he said that, I'm like, has it? And we were walking around before the show started. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, the guy's like, dude, if you knew how many people walk up and say that exact thing.
Oh,
He
yeah.
goes, there's just people playing this all day long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I got in there,
Yeah.
played a couple rounds, you
Yeah.
know, just got the feel for it nice
Yeah.
and quick. Bang, bang, bang.
FYI, the guy said that there's 100 levels of duck hunt. If you get all the way to the 100th level, I guess like this huge thing of like a ton of ducks fly up and then you win the game. So that's funny. But the other thing I saw that was pretty cool, try to get people in the booth, those boxing arcade games.
Yep.
Where the you know the boxing bag like
Swings down.
and you hit it, then it shows the digital number of what the number you were at.
Yep.
That was going. We heard people hooping and hollering yesterday with that. We were walking around kind of late in the day. It was funny because it was like a fiance. The girl hit harder than the guy, like a lot harder. And at first the guy was like, ha, ha, ha. He punched the first time, and she was at like 822, and he got it's like 805. And he's like, ha, ha, ha. So he's like, okay, I'll try this time. So he 815. And he's like, then he got the serious look on his face, and his buddies were looking at him like, oh. So the third time, he really laid into it, still didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
that was funny to watch that.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah, like Cole said, they were hooping and hollering. We were like kind of at the end of the hall. And all of a sudden, you just hear, whang, woo.
Everybody's just
what's going on down there?
Yeah, freaking out.
But
I think the funny thing that you were excited to try to look for while we were at the shows here was a slate turkey call.
yeah.
Yep. You know, that's the one thing about these shows is if you're selling turkey calls, you're kind of selling, you know, Christmas lights right before Christmas, right? It's a
Yep.
perfect time. There's a lot of people that have got turkeys on the brain.
Yep.
This next week is NWTF in Nashville, the big show, their big convention show. And then pretty near right after that, guys start turkey hunting in Florida.
Yeah.
That all starts like fairly soon.
Yeah.
And so you were excited to try to look at getting a turkey call.
Yeah.
We found this really cool dude. I actually played a lot of calls in the room, and there was a bunch of them that sound awesome.
Yeah.
But I like a real specific sound. And I kind of told him that. I'm like, I like a real bright sound. And we found that in one of his calls. It was actually a slate that had a small slate on the back, and then it was a glass.
Yep.
And it came with 2 strikers, and the guy like sawed the wood behind his house.
Yeah.
Like basically had like a little makeshift or had a legit like little sawmill.
Yep.
That he would cut the pots out of wood.
Yeah.
And then and then lay them out and everything, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
You looked on his Instagram page; it was pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely. And it like on his Instagram page, and when I was down at the booth too, he was showing me like he had videoed how he hand makes all of them, and it was just super interesting. I just feel like there's such an art form to that type of stuff.
There definitely is.
And it and that's what I wanted. Like when we were driving here, I was telling him like, man, I just would really like to find like a custom, like actual handmade slate call. And we found the perfect one, I think.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about that too is that's I kind of feel like that guy was the epitome of what is so fun about these shows.
Yeah.
Is that you run into people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and he said, we got to talk to him. I'm like, oh, where are you from? And da-da-da-da. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I work a normal job. Like, this is just like a little side hustle, like that I'm really passionate about this. And so, I don't know, I'm just trying to make a go at it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of testament, and like, it's pretty freaking cool because,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I mean, he's got a lot on the line. He said, I'm like, geez, man, 9 days. He goes, yeah, I'm using up like all my vacation to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and he's like, these ones are really hard for me. He's like, I'd rather do like the 3-day weekend shows.
Right.
But yeah, so it was really neat to see that. And I think like when consumers walk around, they're looking for like kind of those new things, like what's new. And it's pretty neat to see people that come up with these ideas and then bring it to market, bring it to fruition, and be able to see it and then sell it to the hunter is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it was cool too because like when the first time we were there, we were just kind of, just making conversation stuff, and I remember you asked him, man, does it ever get annoying just hearing these turkey calls all day? There's like a turkey room down there where there's a lot of turkey calls, a lot of duck
Goose calls, yeah.
And so you asked him, you're like, how is it 9 days just listen to this constantly? He's like, man, it doesn't bother me a bit.
He's like, I love turkey calls.
He goes, I just love hearing them and stuff. And it's like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a guy that's just passionate about it. And, it was really cool.
Because you talk to some of the other vendors in that room. And
they're like wearing earplugs.
Yeah. It's not a place you want to go in there with a headache.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But no, it's really, really interesting. To talk a little bit about the show as a whole, I think that we've been doing this show for quite a few years now. Mm-hmm. I feel like for whatever reason, this show felt a little down.
Yeah.
There definitely wasn't the crowd. You always expect the first Saturday and Sunday to be really, really busy.
Yeah.
You always expect the second Friday, the next Friday, Saturday to be really, really busy.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason this year, every day about 2:00, you could just feel the kind of air go out of the room.
Yeah.
And the aisles just really thinned out.
Yeah.
And by show getting over during the week at 7:00, by 4, it was just vendors walking around.
Yeah.
It
100%.
really, really slowed down. I'm not sure what the change is and why that was.
Yeah.
But it was, and you talk as, like I said, I see a lot of people that I know, guys that you become friends with over the years. You're like, hey man, how's it going?
Yeah.
How's this show going? How's that show going? Like, where have you been? How was your season?
Yeah.
And then how's the show going? And then everybody felt like everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a bit slower.
Yeah, and it's just, I think the big thing for me was not only seeing that it was slower, but like the sound of like the archery room, like in the mornings and stuff, like there's just a constant buzz. But then you walk in here, later in the day or whatever, like kind of closer to the end, and it's just like,
it's quiet.
It's just quiet.
Super quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been kind of crazy. We dealt with what a lot of other vendors dealt with as well when it comes to the notorious Harrisburg flu. I did this. Susie did this year. We got flu shots before the show season. I was bound and determined not to get sick. Taking a lot of emergency vitamin C packets in the mornings and pre-show, tried to kind of build up your immune system. I feel, knock on wood, pretty good.
Yeah.
You feel pretty good.
Yeah, I feel totally fine.
Susie feels pretty good. We had a couple guys helping us, new guys this year helping us. A buddy of mine named Alec Link, a good buddy of mine that I've met over the years. He's from Erie, Pennsylvania, so like northwest Pennsylvania. And a buddy of his named Aaron, he came and helped us too. They both did a great job.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have, local people that can kind of talk the language to other Pennsylvania residents.
Yep.
You can definitely tell when you're not from a state. And it's nice to have those guys like, oh, where are you from, man? Oh, I'm from Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, hey, I'm from Johnstown. I'm from Harrisburg. I'm from Philadelphia. And you just can hear that, Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to have guys like that here. And they're avid Ozonics users, so that worked out good too. Aaron got really sick.
Really sick.
Oh, my gosh. So day 1, day 2, day 3, right? Day 4, and middle of the day on day 4, I was sitting down here, and I look over, and you could see him come kind of stumbling back from the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, he was stumbling.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I don't feel good. And I'm like, you don't look good. And he's like, well, and he goes, and Alec had his vehicle here. I'm going to go lay down in Alec's truck. I'm like, okay. So he kind of stumbled down the aisle, goes out in his truck. He's out there for like an hour. Alec goes and check. I'm like, yeah, man, he ain't doing good.
Yeah.
And so took him home. He slept, was in his room for the next 3 days after that.
Yeah. He said
Day 5, day 6, day 7. He basically hardly came out.
Yeah.
We made sure he had water, made sure he was drinking Gatorade, electrolytes, but he was sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Really sick. He said he literally didn't come out of the room, but like 2 times.
Yeah.
That entire time.
So Alec was going back in the afternoons and kind of checking on him, getting him food, and we were trying to keep him away from us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to get sick.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but then really trying to look after him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite the deal. Here, come find out, Lancaster yesterday, on Saturday, they had 7 people that came down with something.
Yep.
They all got sick. They had a kind of a skeleton crew of what they normally have.
Yeah.
Which is really rough for them on a Saturday.
Yeah.
When they're just like gangbuster busy.
Yep.
You heard outfitters and the outfitter hall vendors that left because they got sick on like Thursday or Friday, and then they were just sick over the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something definitely went around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does at these shows all the time. You know, it's hard not to shake hands. It's hard not to touch everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You go in the rifle room and there's just all these guns, handguns, machine guns, ARs, all this stuff.
Binoculars,
everything, and everybody's just, you're touching it constantly.
Yeah.
So it's just really, really tough.
Yeah.
So Aaron got sick. He's better now. But we're all doing pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, I think just the pre-show kind of prep, at least me, you, and Susie did. I mean, every single day in the office, we would whip up an emergency and just make sure to have that at least once a day. And it worked. I mean, this is the best I've felt here for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, last year I kind of I wasn't sick, but I was not feeling great.
Yeah, pretty much it seemed like a lot of us got sick last year. I mean, Susie was down for the count for a little bit.
Susie was down for a couple days. Randy was down for a couple days.
Yeah.
But, so you just never know. It's just, and like I said, maybe we still get sick, but for the most part, hanging in there.
Yeah, exactly. And at least we made it through the whole show. So
yeah, that's the other thing is, and that's what can be such a trick about these shows is you kind of hope for the best and plan for the worst.
Yep.
It's always a hard thing to like, how many people do you have here? Who's going to be here? And it's like, you don't want to have too many people, but you don't want to have not enough people.
Yeah, not
and
enough
if stuff
people
goes wrong, and you know.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So that was kind of cool too. With that said, Jason Mears, a buddy of ours.
Yep.
He's from Pennsylvania. Here, he came over, got here on Friday night, and he helped on all day Saturday, and he's helping today.
Yep.
So that's nice too. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this show today turns out because today is Super Bowl Sunday, and it's the Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles of Pennsylvania. So, yeah.
There was booths that said they're not going to even be here.
There was a booth in the outfitter room that said, "Thank you for stopping. We will not be here on Sunday because we're Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Take a brochure. Thanks for stopping." Like, I was like, wow. So they must just be leaving their booth until Monday and then coming back and getting it.
I guess so.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's like 10-4 today. I think 10-1 will be pretty good. And then from 1-4, we're just going to be looking at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's always the insane thing. We've probably said this before, but like, it's unbelievable at these shows. It takes 3 days to set it up. And I swear it takes 30 minutes to tear it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Within 3 hours of the show getting over, there is just a handful of things left in here.
Yeah.
You know, the show gets over at 4. By 4:15, I bet a third of the vendors are already gone.
Oh, for sure.
Have already pulled out of the parking lot.
Yep.
It's unbelievable how fast they can get out of here.
Yeah.
Our booth doesn't work that smooth. It's a little bit, it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love the way our booth looks. People
Yeah.
compliment it all the time, just about how sharp it is and the lights and everything. And it's always a trick because we're trying to display a lot of product.
Yep.
And you have to do that somehow. The way these backdrops work and how the racking is. But yeah, it works out pretty good. We just kind of accept the fact that it's going to take us a couple hours. This show's always a little bit longer yet because it's a 40-foot booth. We only do a 30-foot booth. Wisconsin, we only do a 20-foot booth.
Yeah.
And so it just takes us longer.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, it just takes us a little bit longer. But
it still goes quick, though.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not that bad. You just, like, I told Nick, this is actually your third year doing Harrisburg, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is really
weird. I told Nick the first year he's helped with us, I was like, all right, man, because you kind of get this, like, sense of urgency. You just, like, your, blood starts pumping, and you just start going faster. But that doesn't work here. The best thing to do is to just not break a sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if we all worked like double time, we could tear it down probably like a half hour faster maybe. And today we might work a little faster because we all want to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But still, it just seems like slow and steady wins the race, especially because these backdrops, you got to be careful because if you're not careful, you break them.
Yeah, exactly.
Once they're broke, they're broke.
Yeah.
So we've always got, kind of velvet gloves on trying to be careful with everything. But yeah, we'll tear down tonight and then start driving back towards Iowa tomorrow. Susie flies back tomorrow. Looks like we're going to have good weather. That's always the trick. We always watch that. And I've had to drop farther south to try to just get above. It's funny how you think about this, but like you just try to get above 32 degrees.
Yeah.
Because you get above 32, then you're just going to see wet roads, not icy roads.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's always a little bit of a trick. But yeah, I think we're going to luck out.
Yeah, exactly. And that
whole way.
That was one thing I've never seen at this show. Obviously, like Will just said, this is my third year doing it. It's always been really good weather here, but man, we ran into some crappy weather throughout the week, it seemed like.
As long as I can remember, we've had fairly good weather here too, but this year we didn't.
Yeah.
Last night we got an inch of, or more than an inch of like this rain, snow mix, ice, sleet.
Yeah.
And it started like midday, which didn't help anybody. Mm-hmm. And we saw that here. All of a sudden it was 3 o'clock and it just died.
Yeah.
You heard people saying, yeah, man, I got to beat that weather.
Yeah.
It came all the way across the state of Pennsylvania, like from west to east. It just rampaged the whole state.
Yeah.
Now, the roads are great this morning. They get out there and they get them cleaned off. Earlier in the week, too, it was we woke up in the morning to like a good layer of ice.
Yep.
It's like, gosh, that was on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which that kind of feels like insult to injury because you're like, man, it's like it's a Sunday and now it wasn't Sunday. It was like Friday, wasn't it? Or was it Thursday? Jeez, it's all blessed.
Yeah.
It was sometime later in the week. It wasn't Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like maybe like Thursday. We got woke up to this rain, snow mix stuff. And so like, well, that's going to make it slower. It was a little slower. And then man, by like noon, it picked right back up again.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, it's incredible too, how they coordinate all this here. There's on-site parking. Where this show is at the Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex where they do the state fair. They have this big farm show that they do before this show. But they actually they shuttle people from like the Bass Pro Shop, which is kind of on the other side of town, and there's huge lots there. They shuttle everybody here, drop them off at the front door, and then when you're done, you just shuttle back. Yeah. So it's pretty nuts that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely.
How they do that. Even last night they have this arena in here. They had Riley Green, a country concert. Man, there was a ton of people lined up for that. Oh my gosh,
it was crazy.
Yeah. We walked up through there. And there was somebody for the show that was like or the complex or whatever, that was like they had like these 3 lines of people. And he was trying to get people to equally go in the lines as they came up this escalator. You could tell people were excited, kind of like talking to their friends, not paying much attention, just kind of shuffling along. So he's like, 3 lines, go to the left line. They wouldn't do it. So then he's like, and then finally, then he was getting a little bit more frustrated. Then he was like, the left line is quicker. Go to the left. Yeah. Nobody did it. Yeah. So then I walked up and I'm like, man, you're having a heck of a time. Yeah. So I go, smart people go to the left. So then all of a sudden everybody goes, they go to the left. Yeah. He goes, man, you're going to get me in trouble. But yeah, it's just funny. There was a ton of people.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
And everybody had their country stuff on, their best Western, man.
Oh, yeah.
Best, their nice boots and their nice shirts, and all the girls were dressed up really nice, you know what I mean? Everybody was all dressed up, excited for the concert. They do that every year. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, it's been a good show. Like I said, we have a few weeks home, and then we go to the Iowa Deer Classic. a few weeks home. Then we go to the Wisconsin show. There's a lot that's already happened. It's incredible. There's consumer shows all over the place all winter long.
Yep.
There's been a lot of talk, and people have probably seen it on social media. The big thing that happened thus far in the consumer show season is the sheep show.
Yeah.
I just saw it yesterday that it was a new world record for a big game animal auction sale price. There was a New Mexico bighorn hunt that went for $1.3 million at the sheep show on the Saturday night banquet, which is incredible. The previous record was a mule deer tag in the Mule Deer Foundation show in like 2000 and I don't know when, 2023, that went for $725,000.
Yep.
This went for 1.3, which is just insane to think about. The thing that's just that it's kind of takes your breath away. You're like, whoa! It's like a wide-eyed type deal. It's pretty cool though to know that 1.2 million of that 1.3 goes towards conservation.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really, really huge.
Yeah,
that money obviously gets well spent on trying to get whatever type of animals it is. Obviously, at the sheep show, it's sheep back into those places, create habitat and get more animals out there.
Yep.
And try to, because so much that has been just from where it was 200 years ago, it's just devastated.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yep.
But it's pretty incredible. And then, like I said, next weekend is a big one. I tell you what, I wish I was going to NWTF. I love that show.
I know.
It's just that's like the turkey hunting show capital of the world. Everybody converges on Nashville for that NWTF show. They have the calling competitions.
Yep.
Everybody, it's just like at a fever pitch.
Yep. Getting
ready for turkey hunting. And if you guys haven't figured it out, Nick and I enjoy turkey hunting. I really enjoy turkey hunting.
It's fun.
Yeah. Nick is quickly becoming obsessed with turkey hunting. Hadn't even killed turkey yet, and he is into it.
Yes.
Yep.
That's all I can think about right now.
Yep. You're into it.
Yep. I just cannot wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So that's next week. That gets going. Then there's shows in Indiana. There's a show in Ohio. There's a show in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois.
Yeah.
There's shows all over.
Yep.
There's already been shows in Nebraska. There's been SCI, in Atlanta, SCI in Nashville, I think, or Dallas Safari Club in, Nashville or Dallas or wherever. There's shows all over.
Yeah.
ATA shows behind us, SHOT shows behind us. Western Sportsman's Expo is next week in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
That's the big Western show.
Yep.
Talk about you think about Midwest, you think of the Iowa Deer Classic. You think about out here, you think about the Great American Outdoor Show. You think about West, you think Western Sportsman's Expo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a show that I would love to attend. I've heard it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
A lot like the sheep show.
Right.
So, there's just tons of them going on. And if you're kind of sitting at home and you're getting the itch, this is a great way to kind of get that scratched and come to these shows and get a chance to, tell the truth, tell some lies, and mostly exaggerate.
That's a great way to put it.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's I think one of my funnest, my funnest, or the best part about these shows is just having people walk up. I mean, we had that guy walk up from Iowa, of all things, at the show here, working the show, vendor.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, I had a buck that I was chasing after, couldn't get close to him. I borrowed my buddy's Ozonics. First night he borrowed it, deer walked in direct downwind, killed it at 18 yards.
Yeah.
Well, walked in, came in on this deep cut, like this deep cut on a creek bed basically.
Yeah.
Came right up to it, got directly downwind, and then just for whatever reason, okay, I'm just gonna walk off, acting completely normal. Kind of started to walk off. He rattled it. He had already grunted. It came in, got directly downwind. Stood there, then kind of turned, then walked off. He rattled it, came and walked right back in, downwind again, walked into 18 yards and smokes it. He's like, yeah, I ordered an Ozonics the next day. So, it's cool when you get people in the booth like that.
Yeah. And
you hear those stories.
And it's cool, too, having people come in, they're not too familiar with Ozonics, and we, kind of give them the spiel, tell them how it works, you name it.
Yeah.
And just to see their face, what, it's just kind of cool. So in our booth specifically, you kind of see both ends kind of a lot.
Yeah.
You see guys that are true hardcore believers use it, they use it right. And then you see the faces of people who don't understand what it is, and you start telling them, and then they can kind of start realizing it. So that part's really fun, too.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes, too, for the guy that walks in that doesn't know about it, I can talk about the ozonics and how it works all day long. But the first thing we talk about is what happens when you get deer on the downwind side.
Yep.
And everybody says the same thing. When they get deer on the downwind side right now, without ozonics, they get winded.
Yeah.
That's what they say. They look at me and they're like, well, you get winded.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. 100% agree. But really what you're saying is whatever type of scent control you're doing right now isn't really working.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you know it's not working. Your
Yeah.
experience has taught you that.
Yep.
You walk in to the booth, you look at ozonics, and you're skeptical of that because you should be skeptical because of your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you've ever known. When you get there on the downwind side, they wind you. Whatever you're doing right now really isn't working,
Yeah.
and you know that.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. It's like, what's the definition of insanity?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yep.
A lot of people, me included back in the day, I ask guys, why do you do what you do? Why do you do it? Like, why do you do it?
Yeah.
People don't even know.
Right.
Man, that's what I've always done.
Yeah,
That's what my
exactly.
dad taught me. That's what my grandpa taught me. That's what that's what when I hunt with my folks, that's what they always did.
Yeah.
And so that's where I really try to take the conversation. And then it really boils down to, for me, and we haven't had anybody here that's kind of tried to pin us on that. Some guys are like, well, is it 100%?
Yeah.
It is not 100%.
Right.
Nothing is.
Yeah.
By bleach at the grocery store, it's 99.9% effective.
Yeah.
I feel like 8 out of 10 times, I get away with it.
Yeah.
Where you get winded 10 out of 10 times, I get away with it 8 out of 10 times.
Right.
And that's where I try to go with the conversation. And then it's like, okay, man, how does that apply to your hunting, right? The rule of 10. If I told you that you could have 10 extra feet, 10 seconds, 10 yards, 10 steps, what deer could you have killed?
Yeah.
And if ozonics only did that, gave you that little extra, what would that have been worth to you? They're like, I'd probably have like 5 more deer on my wall.
That'll fire a guy up real
You probably would.
Yep.
And so that's where it goes for me. And we could talk about the technology and how it works and what ozone does. And we could talk about setup and everything else. But I think initially that's where I try to take the foundation of the conversation so that they really can start to, because some guys will walk off. They're like, all right, man, well, I appreciate that. I'll
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
We've had guys walk back up this year and they go, man, dude, I thought about what you said. And I went out this year and I got winded by my number one.
Yeah.
And he's still out there.
Right.
The neighbor shot him.
Yep.
Found him dead. Well, I just found sheds, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so they're like, all right, man, let's work this out.
Yeah.
Like, really, really, let's dive into what this really does for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's the whole reason we're here.
Yep.
And that's why I love being involved in ozonics, because it really, really helps people.
Exactly.
So that's how we end the podcast, okay?
Bang.
That was like a good conclusion.
That was really good.
If I was writing a college paper, that would be an A+. Toot my own horn.
Maybe some extra
Toot,
credit.
toot.
Maybe some extra credit.
That sounded like a tugboat, but
Sounded pretty good.
did it sound good?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've never heard you have such a good sound effects.
I was gonna do it again. I'll try. I was gonna just do it again, but I'm afraid it'll sound like a fart.
Yeah.
So let's just
don't
end
quit
it.
while you're ahead.
Don't quit while we're ahead. I should quit while we're
Or
ahead.
quit while you're ahead.
Hey,
Sorry.
Hey, you know the saying goes, don't quit while you're ahead.
Hey, here's the deal, man. It's 9 days deep into this thing. My brain's just a little bit foggy.
Hey, we're 9 days deep, plus day setup, plus 2 days trav. we got tear down and travel on the other end of this too.
Yep.
We're getting. It's getting a little smoky, okay?
Yeah.
It's getting a little foggy in the old brain hole.
Yep.
It's just hey, clapping. Thank you. That's good.
Yep.
That's awesome.
They're clapping for us. If
They're
anybody's
clapping.
wondering.
They were excited about the end of the podcast. They're tired of listening to us.
Yep.
All right. End of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Ozonics Killerwinds. Done.
We'll see you in Iowa next week.
We'll see you. No, we will not see you in Iowa next
Well,
week.
the pod will be from Iowa.
Oh,
for
yeah,
next
yeah.
week.
The pod will be in the office again. We'll be back at the normal. If you're watching,
There's
be
a
back
dog.
Oh, there's a dog. Oh, that's the other thing I've been really liking. All the dogs.
Dogs running all over.
All right. Over and out. Stay classy.
See you next week.